Hi guys, and welcome back to Chip's Green World. Before we start this week's episode, let's have a quick recap and go over the plans to transform this area. The first step, we planted 3 silver birches down the right hand side. Then we planted a multi-stem silver birch on the left hand side, settling in beautifully. Then we placed the 4 topiary flat tops to the front edge. Now on to the plans to transform the garage into a garden studio. Firstly, removing the garage door, replacing with a wall. Then we'll remove the window and the wall on the left, and that's where the new door will go. Then we will insulate the floor, the walls and the roof, and then board out. Then we'll fit a picture window into the new front wall, which will give us views out overlooking the new potted garden area. So let's have a quick look at where we're up to on the new potted garden area before we start the transformation on the garage. We started with the 2 hardwood benches that we had purchased on Marketplace for only £50. Sanding them back using an orbital sander, a wire brush to get between the gaps and hand sanding between the lats. Getting them ready for a fresh coat of paint. The paint I'm using is a garden furniture paint by Valspar, and the colour I've gone for is a green mix called Tuscan Hills. And at this point, me and Gypsy Boy thought it'd be a good idea to have a race. And yes, you guessed it, Mr. Chips won the trophy. Well done, Chips. We give the benches a second coat, and while Gypsy Boy was finishing his second coat, I got on with some planting and potting up. I planted the 2 red robins that were left over from the rooftop garden in the courtyard into the white tall terracotta pots and placed them. The daisy that had a broken pot got a new pot. 4 of the lavender that were under the fig trees got their own new home, and the other 2 got a smaller home. And finally I managed to get Gypsy Boy's Hebe into a pot. Better late than never. At this point, Gypsy Boy had finished his second coat, so now we could move some of the pots around, moving the big bay trees into position, some of the daylilies, the peony rose. Then once we've got the final bay tree to position, put the bench back, give it a good clean up, give it a water, and that's where we're up to, folks. So now we can start to transform the garage into the garden studio or the potting studio. So let's do that. The next day, the skip arrived. We cleared all the rubbish to the side of the garage. We took the window out. We took the wall below the window out ready for the new door frame, and we filled the skip. Now that we've got the door frame in, the door is slightly going to be wider than anything we can purchase, so we're going to have to build the door ourselves. We're going for a barn style door. Here's the wood. Let's get this built. So there we go, one barn style door, slightly wider than usual, but that will help get things in and out of the shed, which is a bonus. I will be insulating the door on the inside as well as boarding it out, but that'll come on a later date. Right, now we've got the door on, we can remove the garage door. And luckily I don't have to get rid of the garage door as someone's bought it on Marketplace. I got £100 for it, so I don't have to worry about getting this in the skip. And that money will come in handy as this project is on a budget, so that money will go towards building the wall at the front. Talking about the wall at the front, let's get on to that. I've built the frame, bit more to do. I'm going to insulate the frame from the inside after it's built, but for now let's get the wall built, the window in, ready for painting. So let's do that. So that's the frame built. Now to get it into position, there is a top and bottom to this, as it's slightly wider at the bottom, and the window is positioned lower than usual, so I get a view out onto the garden and not other people's windows. So I've just got to ease it up under the wall slats that are there, up to the ring beam, where I will be fixing the frame into place, as well as drilling down and fixing into the concrete base. Right, so let's have a quick clean up and then we can get on with that. Right, that's the window cut out. Now let's fix the barrier into place. The window we're going to be fitting is just a picture window, so it will be fixed into place. I'm using the old double glazed unit I saved from when we got the windows replaced on the house, so completely free. Once I've finished fixing the barrier into place, I'll trim the excess off. We'll build a little frame on the outer edge, which the window will slot into. We will then give the frame 2 coats of paint before fitting the glass. So that's the frame ready for the glass. Let's now start on the outside cladding. And I want this to look like an old barn type shed. So I'm going to fix 2 planks around each corner, which will hopefully give us the illusion of an oak beam. So they look like sturdy, chunky beams holding the barn up. And as I'm going to overlap them slightly over the brick, out a bit further, this should give us the illusion of it being wider than it is. Well, that's the plan. So let's do that. These 2 panels have been a right pain, as the concrete reinforced panels are reinforced with steel rods. Every time I drill a hole, it hits a bit of steel. It's wrecked 2 of my drill bits, and it's taken the longest of time. It doesn't help that my hammer drill setting is playing up. So if you're thinking of attempting something like this on a concrete structure, bear this in mind. I am worn out with these 2 panels. I've even resorted to speaking a bit of French. And we're getting there. Let's now get the final screw in. Then we can get Gypsy Boy to mark up where all the panels are going to go so we can get them exact. That's me done. Off for a coffee break. Coffee break over. Time to get the cladding on. The front cladding complete. Now let's fit the glass. And here I'm using a black weatherproof bond and sealant. I'll put a bead around the inside of the frame, fit the glass, and then put another bead on the outside. I'm going to tape the glass so that any sealant goes onto the glass will go onto the tape, and then just remove the tape. That's the sealant on. Now I'm just using wet wipes to smooth it out and remove any residue. And there we go folks, first stage complete, and I am very pleased indeed. We've yet to decide on a colour to paint it, so any ideas drop it down below. And then I've yet to go around the side and clad up to where the door has been fitted, so that'll probably be next week. We will probably paint it next week also. This is the view from inside, so by having the window lower we only get a view of the garden and people only get a view from their windows of my feet. So that works nicely. So I think we've earned a well-earned rest until tomorrow when we start again. So I hope you've enjoyed, guys. I will see you in 2 weeks' time when this exciting new adventure will continue. And you might ask, why not next week? Well, I've decided only to release 2 vlogs a month, as I think quality over quantity will be better for me and better for your viewing. A big thank you to the patrons. And that's it for this week, guys. Have a great one, all the best, and bye for now.